Okay, America. So we got some serious business to get down to. So let's just get straight down to brass tacks. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes of the situation. Let's get to the substance. So on the Palestinian question, on the Palestine question, you have only Bernie Sanders, Mike Gravel, and Eric Swalwell who have anything remotely interesting to say. Some of them are decent. Tulsi, Seth, Marianne, Elizabeth Warren. They're decent on Palestine. But only Bernie Sanders and Mike Gravel. I just want to see Bernie Sanders and Mike Gravel. Actually, I want to see all three of these men debate. I want to see Bernie Sanders, Mike Gravel, and Eric Swalwell. Only those three candidates talk about Palestine. After these three Democrat debates, I hope those three actually get together and work out the Israel-Palestine conflict crisis. This is a continuing crisis for decades. Anyways. So on Palestine, only Bernie, Mike, and Eric are worth listening to. Seth, Marianne, Tulsi, Elizabeth are decent, but when it comes to Amy Klobuchar, Jay Inslee, Elizabeth Warren, she's changing a little bit. But she said some really stupid shit too. Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mike Bennett, Kamala Harris, John Delaney, Bill de Blasio, Joe Biden, and Bullock. Is that Steve Bullock? Who the hell is Steve Bullock? We don't. But all those people are racist pieces of shit. On the Palestine question, if you don't believe that Palestine, if they're not people, they're brown. So if you're a racist piece of shit and you don't, recognize that they deserve life just like anybody else, they have a right to exist. So they're Muslim. So they have a religion that's it's got a lot of fucked up shit to it. But that's, they're a different religion. Judaism and Christianity, they got some fucked up shit too. So to sit there and just, no, not the kids. No, you can't kill the kids. You cannot murder the kids. You had, about 4 massacres? You had 4 Gaza massacres in the last 11 years? Jesus Christ, massacres. Fucking massacres. 500 kids killed in 2014, 300 kids 2008. So it's I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I want to talk about what the different politicians, what they said, okay, what they were saying. But those candidates, they suck. They fucking suck when it comes to Israel. A lot of these assholes just go on and on about Israel's this, Israel's that, and they don't even mention the Palestinians, like they're not even people. So, again, when it comes to Palestine, Amy Klobuchar, Jay Inslee, Elizabeth Warren with a lot of shit. I said she was decent because she's actually evolving. She's getting a little bit better. So we'll find out where she's at now. Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Bennett, Michael Bennett, Kamala Harris, John Delaney, Bill de Blasio, Joe Biden, and Steve Bullock. Racist, racist, racist. Fucking racist pieces of shit. Jesus Christ. Palestine is such an incredible litmus test on morality and racism. A couple of these candidates, Kamala Harris, Michael Bennett, and Bill de Blasio, John Delaney. So you had senators, right? Michael Bennett, Senator Colorado, Kamala Harris, Senator California, Bill de Blasio is a mayor of New York City, John Delaney is a congressman. They said that Israel is actually upholding human rights. They are doing a great job upholding human rights, killing Palestinian babies left and right, killing thousands of Palestinians, massacring the shit out of Palestine, murder, 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 blockade, occupation. Yeah, so you have, great fucking job upholding human rights, right? Kamala Harris, yeah, great that's when Kamala Harris says shit like that, that's when I start thinking about her being a prosecutor and throwing all those black men in jail. So the brown-skinned Palestinians aren't people to Kamala Harris. Michael Bennett actually thinks that Israel's more important than America. Bill de Blasio, John Delaney, Andrew Yang, okay, so Andrew Yang, he pretended like he's never even heard of any problems from Israel. Wait, there's a question of whether or not Israel upholds human rights? Andrew Yang, this is verbatim, certainly, some of the actions that are being taken there are deeply problematic. I hate when people say problematic. It's like, there could be a problem here, but I have not made a decision about whether or not there's a problem. So, some of the actions are deeply problematic and run afoul of some of the standards we like to see countries meet. I'd hesitate, however, to say that they're in violation of those standards. Really. It's run afoul. It's problematic. But no, Israel upholds human rights. And then he says, in terms of the money we're giving to an ally like Israel, my first instinct would be, why would we reduce it? If we're just giving money to people, just keep giving money to people. There are certain relationships we have that, to me, Andrew Yang, we need to rebuild and strengthen. I would suggest that our relationship with Israel is one of them. I hate the way he talks on this whole thing. I don't even know if he likes Israel with the way he's talking. He's trying to make it seem like he likes Israel, pretending that there's no problem. And he's like, well, you know, yeah, they've done some things, but is it in violation of? No. They've done things, but it's not in any violation. Should we give them money? Well, why wouldn't we give them money? We should just keep on giving them money. I would suggest our relationship is one of those important relationships that we need to rebuild and strengthen. I would suggest it, but I don't believe it. I'm just suggesting it. So, what a shitty fucking answer. Andrew Yang, you know, he's got a lot of incredible, great, progressive ideas, but he sucks on foreign policy. That just shows me on Palestine really right there. He doesn't talk about any of the wars. He didn't talk about war and peace issues whatsoever. And so he's, you know, intelligent guy, but I'm not for sure if he could rally, you know. We need a uniter. We need to talk Abraham Lincoln language. We need a person who can bring us to be the United States of America. Not Republican America, not a Democrat America, not a liberal conservative America, not a socialist, not a capitalist America, but the United States, America. We need somebody who can bring us together. Donald Trump has absolutely failed. He could have done so many fucking things, but he just kept on shitting on he's the opposite of Obama. Obama kept on going to the Republicans and saying, hey, we're working on this. You wanna jump in? Hey, Republicans, hey, be my friend. And then they're like, no. And Donald Trump is like, I don't give a fuck about the Democrats. Fuck everything the Democrats say. So whereas Barack Obama bent over backwards to try to, you know, make the Republicans happy, they are just shitting on the Democrats, and they have a lot of good fucking ideas. So the fact Donald Trump was for universal health care, he's against the war on drugs, against the war on Iraq and Syria. But I guess the President of the United States can't. We're fighting 27 wars right now, none of which we've won. So we suck at war. We're in 27 wars right now. We haven't won a single one of them. You know, Iraq, how are we going to win Iraq? Have we won? I mean, we're going to occupy it forever. Is that the victory? Right, we got a Vatican, the embassy, and we got the, you know, some counterterrorism troops there, so that's, you know, forever and ever, right? The war in Iraq, we got Saddam Hussein. They got democracy. No, we're still in war with Iraq. We're still allowed to open fire on Iraqis because we have, you know, it's legal to do so because it's the authority to use military force. So we still have a declaration of war against the Iraqi people. So how are we going to win Iraq? You know what I mean? So, let's see, Bernie Sanders, he called Netanyahu a racist. He wants a two-state solution. He recognizes that Palestine and Israel have lots of issues, essentially that Israel has a disproportionate response to, you know, the Palestinian terrorism, but war is terrorism. So with a little bit of terrorism, here's a bunch of terrorism, so it's all good now. Mayor Pete is for a two-state solution. Lots of people for a two-state solution. Bernie, Mayor Pete. Netanyahu actually warns the Arabs from coming to the polls. So there's an election that said, hey, if you're an Arab, don't even think about going to vote in Israel. So that's a great democracy there. Yeah, he's really upholding human rights. He didn't even give a shit about the, you know, the Arab Muslim folks that live in Israel, let alone the ones that live in the West Bank or Gaza. Israel isn't a democracy. It's an apartheid state. It is a segregated apartheid state. That's essentially, they're kind of, you know, the Palestinians are holding on, but Israel controls, you know, everything around them. So Kamala Harris is against the Israel Anti-Boycott Act. So a couple of them were for it. The anti-BDS bill, so if you're an American, you're not allowed to boycott any Israel products. You're forced to buy it, right? So the Anti-Boycott Act, the Don't Boycott Israel Act, that goes against the BDS movement, the boycott, divest, and sanction. But eventually, even though a lot of them were saying that they were going to, you know, be in favor of it, they said, well, it goes against free speech, so, you know, then they backed off. Michael Bennet, U.S. Senator from Colorado, he says on Israel-Palestine that Israel does a great job of upholding human rights. He said that Israel is the one essential nation on earth. That was his words, the essential nation. The one essential, not America, not Canada, not, you know, Puerto Rico or Cuba or Bolivia or Peru, not, you know, Africa, not Nigeria, not Germany, not England, not America, right? Not Russia, not China. Israel, the one essential nation on earth. Hey, Michael Bennett, what do you think about this country called the United States of America? He's my senator. Oh, great. Michael Bennett, my fucking senator, loves Israel more than he loves America, Colorado, me, right, probably. Conejos County, the San Luis Valley. What? Do you believe in our right to exist, Michael Bennett? Because Michael Bennett says Israel is the one essential nation state on earth. I question whether or not he gives a shit, you know, about Americans, or does he care about the Israelis more? Does he care about us a little bit? But so America's way more essential than Israel. Now, Michael Bennett is also one of those people that doesn't point out the crimes of Israel. He only points out the Palestinian violence, and he doesn't give human rights, or, you know, doesn't acknowledge that Palestine is filled with people. So all the Gaza massacres, oh, they're fair and equal. Yeah, I know Israel killed thousands, and there was only, you know, maybe a dozen or two of Israelis that were killed. But it's fair and equal, and it's the Palestinians' fault, right, Michael Bennett? Bullshit. Kamala Harris, John Delaney, right, they both said, Michael Bennett, great job upholding human rights. Mayor Bill de Blasio, he said Israel respects the rights of all human beings. Israel respects the rights of all human beings, except for Netanyahu, who says Arabs shouldn't go to the polls, so he doesn't respect the Arabs. But Mayor Bill de Blasio, yes, Israel respects the rights of all people, most especially the Palestinians. De Blasio, Harris, Delaney, right, they think Israel's too nice to Palestine. They just give them too many rights and freedoms. They just, you know, too much of a social welfare state. They just give them trillions of dollars worth of goods and services, and they're just ungrateful, right? Israel treats Palestine just too good. Joe Biden, I've heard that he didn't acknowledge Palestine as a people. He pretended that's not even a people. There was some controversy when Donald Trump said he was going to the Palestinian state and in Israel state, but then they said, no, it's a territory. It's a Palestinian territory. So people were getting shitty because he called it a Palestinian state. He should call it a Palestinian state. Either enforce the two-state solution or the one-state democratic secular solution. Those are the only two solutions. It's not, the situation right now cannot carry on. It is absolutely shitty. They've had to endure incredible, you know, oppression for decades. It needs to stop. It needs to fucking stop, and it needs to stop, you know, now. So Joe Biden, if he doesn't acknowledge, I heard it, and so I keep repeating it. I don't like Joe, so fuck him, right? But I heard that he said that Palestine isn't even, you know, that they're not even a people. What do you mean? Palestine doesn't even exist. They do exist. Joe Biden calls himself a Zionist. He defends the blockade. He says, you know, like I said, that maybe he said that. I've heard it. I read it somewhere, so, you know. Joe Biden is opposed to the Palestinians' right to exist. Joe Biden believes in the two-state solution, or so he says, but really, they're just lying. For, you know, decades we've been for the two-state solution, and yet Netanyahu steals the Palestinians' land, kills the Palestinians. The 2014 Gaza massacre killed 553 Palestinian kids. Joe Biden, he immediately gets on the horn and gets on the microphone and says, hey, I love you, BB. He tells Netanyahu how much he loves him right after he murdered 553 Palestinian kids. He said he spent a lot of time going to the United Nations directly by telephone, speaking with the Secretary General, making sure that one thing was made clear. Israel had the right to impose that blockade. So it's okay for Israel to block any food that's going into Palestine. So Joe Biden's 76 years old. I mean, that's the average lifespan of a human being. So, I mean, he looks all, you know, vibrant, but he's been running forever. He's not a progressive. He's a right-wing neoliberal. Now, the Barack Obama administration and Netanyahu, they had a tumultuous relationship, but that's because Netanyahu was, Israel started the 2008 war right before Obama got in there. So Israel was testing the United States the entire time Obama was in there, and it's a black president, so he might think differently. He might think that the Palestinians are people too. And so there was a United Nations resolution that was passed, and it said something about how they treated Palestinian kids or how they were killing Palestinian kids. So there was, typically the United States, blocks vetoes. When the world condemns Israel, we use our veto to cover up their crimes. But under Barack Obama, there was one United Nations resolution that was allowed to get through that was critical of Israel. But that just kind of shows you, oh my God, you know, a resolution. A resolution isn't law; it's just an opinion. So a resolution was passed that Israel needs to stop doing the bad shit that they've been doing for decades. Ooh, wow, big. They're really shaking the boat there. So they weren't best friends, but we still give them $4 billion. We still, and we didn't invade, we didn't stop it, so, they're allowed to do essentially whatever they wanted to do. So they allowed the passage, it was 2016, and it condemned the Israeli settlement in the West Bank. You keep on settling in the West Bank, they're not going to have their own state, so therefore you're going to have one state, and it's going to be a democratic, secular nation, a separation between church and state, respecting all human rights, the freedoms, the right to peacefully assemble, the right to protest. And that goes for everybody, and then Israel's not a Jewish nation anymore. It'll be a kind of Jewish nation. It'll be like how America is a Christian nation, but we actually believe in the separation of church and state. Netanyahu announced a plan for new settlement units while Biden was visiting Israel in 2010. It was an embarrassed administration. So Joe Biden goes to Israel 2010, and then Netanyahu says, hey, while Joe Biden's here, we're going to expand the settlements. And made it seem like that America was in favor of the settlements, even though we were not. Israel, March 2016, a Palestinian terrorist stabbed and killed American Army veteran Taylor Force in Tel Aviv. Joe Biden was a mile away from the attack, and he castigated the assailant, the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, who did not denounce the violence. Let me say in no uncertain terms, Joe Biden said, the United States of America condemns these acts and condemns the failure to condemn these acts. This cannot be viewed by civilized leaders as an appropriate way in which to behave. Force's murder later became the impetus for the Taylor Force Act, which is legislation that mandated that the United States withhold aid to the Palestinian Authority until it stops issuing social welfare payments to the families of terrorists who kill Israelis. And it was signed into law last year by Trump. Joe Biden himself was never expressed support for the Taylor Force Act. So Joe Biden had an opportunity, right? Joe and Obama had 8 years to get Israel and Palestine solved. They didn't do it. And Joe Biden, whether or not he says Palestine existed or didn't exist, he always criticizes Palestine, and he rarely criticizes Israel, and he doesn't say we need to respect the Palestinian people. What everybody on the dais, all these presidential hopefuls, what every single one of them need to do, just like Tulsi Gabbard did with gay folks, I will fight and die for the Palestinian people. I will fight and die for the Israeli people. I will fight and die for, humanity. Nobody can kill another person. So if you are defending, right, you're allowed to defend yourself, and you're allowed to defend people who are defending themselves. So therefore, you say, I love the Palestinians. I want to hear every single one of them say that they will fight and die for the Palestinians' right to exist. You will, definitely not murder a bunch of babies like, Israel's been doing, but you will say, if they murder the babies, then you're ready to go and fight and die for them because that's absolute bullshit. And, vice versa. You love the Israeli people, and if, they're being killed, then you're ready to fight and die for the Israeli people. But they all say they love Israel. They don't say that they love Palestine. So that's a couple of the Democrats. I wanted to get into the massacre. I'm just so fucking sick and tired of Israel using war and terrorism against the Palestinian people. I'm tired of it. So, hey, pro-lifers, I don't know if you know this or not, but murder, it's wrong. You stupid immoral fucks. So, Boston Massacre. So, in American Revolution, there's the Boston Tea Party, Boston Massacre, there's the tea tax, and, a lot of shit was going on. The Boston Massacre is one of those events that was said to contribute to the American Revolution. The Boston Massacre was 5 people got killed, including Crispus Attucks. So the redcoats, the British redcoats, shot the colonists. They were all British at the time, so just people were outside. They were assembled. The redcoats were out there, the king's agents, the king's men, and they shot at the people, and they killed 5 colonists. Now, John Adams is going to defend the British troops, and John Adams didn't own any slaves, so, he's a little bit of a mixed character there. But John Adams was good because he didn't own slaves, and I don't think he believed that owning people was okay, but he defended the British troops at the Boston Massacre. So that's probably the least massacre-y of massacres, only 5 people died. But you know what? Every life is valuable, so 5 people, that is a massacre. If it gets more than 5 people, then that's like a war. That's a genocide. We're doing something else if it's more than 5 people. So 2008, that was the first Gaza massacre. Since 2008, we've had 4 major Gaza massacres. Israel has massacred Gazans 4 times. In 2008, 2009, Barack Obama was elected, so Israel just says, oh shit, they're probably going to, respect Palestine, so they just started killing the Palestinians. 1,400 Palestinians were killed, including 288 kids. So immediately Barack Obama is elected, Israel says, well, we got to kill 288 Palestinian kids and 1,400 total. And the second Gaza massacre is 2012, November 14th. 160 Palestinians were killed, 2 Israelis were killed. Third Gaza massacre, 2014. 2,300 Palestinians total were killed, including 551 kids. 73 Israelis were killed, so, the Palestinians seem to have fought back a little bit more than what they did in 2008, but not much more. 73 versus 2,300, so therefore Israel killed, more than 23 times the amount, more than, 30 times the amount. So on the Palestinian side, I can go on and on, but 551 were kids. So in 2014, Israel killed 551 Palestinian children. That's the third Gaza massacre, the 2014 Gaza massacre, 2012 Gaza massacre, 2008, 2009 Gaza massacre, and then just a few months ago, March 2019 massacre. 62 Gazans were killed, including 2 Israelis. So 2008, 2009, 2012, 2014, and 2019, Israel was killing way too many. Even if you could say that the Palestinians started it, the fact that, 1,400 were killed compared to 13 in 2008. So 13 Israelis get killed, 1,400 Palestinians got killed. The Israelis are just indiscriminately just shooting, bombing whoever the fuck they want to bomb. They're saying they're targeting people, but if they happen to hit, 288 kids, well, that's just collateral damage. That's just how war goes, right? C'est la vie. Who gives a shit? Albert Einstein was a Zionist, and so he was all about getting Israel established. And he said the most important political task of Zionism is to establish healthy relations with the Arabs. That's the most important political task of Zionism. You think Zionism's done a good job, being good neighbors? As soon as Israel was formed, they killed 13,000 Palestinians. Israel's been killing Palestinians as soon as it's been born. For 71 years, they've been oppressing and treating the Palestinians like the Jews, like how history has been persecuting the Jews. Israel's been persecuting Palestine for their entire existence. Now, a couple facts. So you have Christianity claims 33% of the world's population, so I think Christianity is the most popular. There's 1.4 or 1.5 or 1.8 billion Muslims. So Islam claims 21% of the world. 1 out of 5 people are Islamic. 1 out of 3 people are Christian. And 0.2% is Judaism. So Christianity and Islam is really absolutely, displaced Judaism. So Jesus was a Jew. Muslims respect Moses and Jesus. They just think Muhammad is the third, prophet, the messenger, the most advanced or the most recent messenger. And then the Baha'i faith represents 0.1%. So Judaism and the Baha'i faith, they're about the same. There's hardly any Jews, and there's a shit ton of Christians, and a shit ton of Muslims. So 1.8 billion, and then there's Muslims. I don't want to say Muslim majority countries, but they're saying that there's 55 countries that are, they have sizable Muslim population. I don't want to say that they're Muslim countries. I don't know how many Muslim majority countries there are, but 55 countries. I wrote, I got this written down, so that means something. Actually, let's see, the Islamic states. Now, Israel is the size of New Jersey, so Israel's pretty small. And then Israel is in the Middle East, and so it is surrounded by a lot of Muslim, folks. Jerusalem isn't just a home for the Jews; it's also home for Jesus Christ. That's where he preached, in Jerusalem, and also he was born in Bethlehem. And Bethlehem is in Palestine, and it's, under occupation. So Islamic State, Saudi Arabia is Islamic State, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Iran, Mauritania, Oman, Yemen, other states where Islam is the politically defined state religion, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Algeria, Malaysia, Maldives, Morocco, Libya, Tunisia, United Arab Emirates, Somalia, and Brunei. According to a study in 2015, Islam has 1.8 billion adherents, which makes up 24.1% of the world population. So 20%, 25%, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 4 people are Muslim, 1 out of 3 are Christian. Most Muslims are either two denominations. They are either of two denominations. So most Muslims are either Sunni or Shia. You have more Sunni. You have 1.5 billion people who are Sunni, and then you have about 170 to 340 million people who are Shia. So most of the Muslims are Sunni, and a few of them are Shia. So about 80% to 90% are Sunni, 10 to 20% are Shia. So that's, you know, a little bit more information. The Torah, that's the first 5 books of the Bible. So what? The Exodus, Genesis, Leviticus, and it includes Moses, it includes Noah, Adam and Eve. So the origins of Christianity, you know, come straight from Judaism. And they're all Abrahamic religions. So even the Islamic, you could say that Judaism plays into the Islamic religion too. And, yeah, I'm sure they'd be happy about it. So Torah, that's the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods and wife, thou shalt not occupy and murder Palestinian kids, thou shalt not steal from Palestine, thou shalt not covet Palestine's wives and their goods. So that's the Torah, right? They're supposed to believe in the 10 Commandments. And that's pretty much everything I'm going to say about Palestine for now. I got a couple more quotes from all the Democrats. I didn't want to just, you know, read all of them off. But again, the only 3 people, Bernie Sanders, Mike Gravel. Bernie Sanders wants 2-state solution. Mike Gravel wants a 1-state solution. Eric Swalwell is talking about cutting funding off from Israel. I would like Bernie Sanders and Mike Gravel to debate. I want Eric Swalwell to participate, but I want Eric Swalwell to actually be like the moderator and then to declare a winner at the end. What does Eric Swalwell believe? Is he open to the 1-state solution? Mike Gravel, he essentially is just saying it's too late for a 2-state solution. We've been trying to do this 2-state solution. It's not working. They're not going to do it. So it's got to be a 1-state solution. Israel's going to cease to be a, you know, Jewish theocracy. It's going to be just a state that believes in freedom of religion, and there's going to be Jewish people there, but it's not going to be a Jewish sanction, you know, a Jewish state. Now, I think that's better. Now, you know, thinking about all those Muslim countries, if they are Muslim, they're theocracies, that's, you know, that's not, I don't believe in theocracies, I believe in democracy. And so that's why I'm for, you know, a 1 democratic secular state for Israel, but I want that for Egypt too, and I want it for, you know, all those countries I had mentioned. All those are theocracies, they're Islamic theocracies. And Saudi Arabia, Jesus Christ, Pakistan, that's where Bin Laden was. Afghanistan, we're there. Iran, Mauritania, Oman, Yemen, Kuwait, Iraq. Is Iraq still the Islamic State? Even though I thought we brought democracy to them. They're still theocracy. Jordan, Egypt, Malaysia, Algeria, Maldives, Kuwait. We defended Kuwait. We didn't bring democracy to Kuwait. We got a base in Kuwait. Morocco, Libya. We invaded Libya. What the fuck? Tunisia, they just had a revolution. United Arab Emirates. That's where the Dubai, the tallest building is. Somalia, we've invaded. If we invade these countries, I feel like we should at least give them our democracy kind of sucks, but it's better than, you know, most. It's better than dictatorships, authoritarian dictatorships. So our democracy is better than all the dictatorial governments. But, yeah, fucking Jay Inslee, Elizabeth Warren, racist pieces of fucking Cory Booker, Klobuchar, Delaney, de Blasio, racist. Joe Biden, racist. We all know he defended those segregationists. He was opposed to Kamala Harris going to school. He cut busing. He said no to busing. He needed to be friends with segregationists, so he cut out busing so he could, you know, get his other agenda passed. Fuck Joe. Joe sucks. Joe Biden sucks. Okay. Peace!